Be me, 29, independent, downtown apartment, good job in marketing, gym 3 times a week, solid friends, decent credit. Basically the full package, or so everyone keeps telling me. So explain why every man I meet turns out to be a disappointment. I don't even ask for much, just someone confident, taller than me, emotionally aware, has direction in life, wants something real. But the minute I start liking someone, he either ghosts, flakes, or suddenly isn't ready. It's exhausting. I swear men used to try harder. My mum tells me stories about my dad planning proper dates and calling instead of sending emojis. Guys today act like effort is old-fashioned. I'll mention my promotion at work and suddenly it's, oh wow, you're intimidating. Like sorry for having a 401k. Still, I tell myself I'm patient. I've dated around enough to collect examples. There was the entrepreneur who pitched business ideas in his mom's basement. The gym guy who looked perfect but couldn't string together a sentence without flexing. The one who talked about long-term potential right before vanishing mid-weekend. Every single one fades the second consistency becomes a topic. Meanwhile, the rest? The quiet ones? The normal guys? I barely notice them. They're like scenery. The guy restocking the office fridge, the one who holds the elevator, the regular at my coffee shop. I assume they're fine, probably content gaming or watching sports or whatever. They never approach, never stand out. And honestly, if they wanted to, wouldn't they? I mean, confidence is attractive. You can tell when someone has it. I can spot that energy in a second. The walk, the tone, the spark. If I don't feel it right away, it's just not there. Sometimes I wonder if that's unfair, but then again, it's not my job to search for potential. If a guy wants my attention, he should show it. Don't sit at the bar staring into your drink and then complain online that women ignore you. Make a move. It's not that I dislike average men, I just don't see them. My brain doesn't register them as options. They're co-workers, friends of friends, background characters. You know those faces you pass every morning on the train and never really register? That's them. People tell me, maybe you're overlooking good guys. Okay, but where? Seriously, where are they? Because the ones people keep pointing out definitely don't count. Like, my friend Emily keeps telling me about her brother. He's so sweet, she says. He works hard, owns a little condo, loves dogs. Then I meet him at a barbecue and, yeah, he's nice, but he's shorter than me and drives a Corolla from 2012. The energy just isn't there. I can't force attraction, or take the barista at my coffee place. Remembers my order, always smiles. The other day, he slipped a note with my drink that said, "Hope your day goes amazing." My friends thought it was adorable. I thought, oh, that's cute, then threw it away before I even got home. He's probably 26, still renting with roommates, definitely not in the same phase of life. So what's the point? See what I mean? Those good guys everyone keeps bringing up aren't the ones we actually want. They're the ones who'd probably worship you, but never make your heart race. And if my heart's not racing, then what's the point? So yeah, maybe they're out there, but they're short or awkward or broke or just missing that spark. It's not personal, it's just, I don't feel it. I keep hearing men complain online that women only want chads. Maybe they're just jealous. Because if these so-called good guys were truly that great, they wouldn't be invisible. They'd figure out how to stand out. That's the frustrating part. I know I'm a good woman. I bring a lot to the table. So why does every guy act like being with someone like me is too much work? Maybe men really have gotten lazy, or maybe they've just given up on high-value women like me. If I'm being honest, I didn't know it at the time. But this was the day everything started to shift. Not in a dramatic, life-changing way, more like one of those tiny cracks that only becomes visible later. At the moment, it just felt like another boring lunch break in the office. Same desk, same wilted salad, same scrolling through Tinder like it was a job application site for disappointment. I sit there half slouched, balancing my phone on my knee so it's hidden from anyone walking by. If productivity had a scent, it'd be balsamic dressing and mild regret. Swipe left. Too short? Swipe left. Bio says sarcastic introvert who loves dogs. Translation, emotionally unavailable, swipe left. Okay, who told men cargo shorts were making a comeback? I take a sip of my Diet Coke and sigh. Group chat lights up. Cassie. Why do men keep posting gym selfies with? Zero emotion? Maya. Because the weights are the only things they can lift emotionally. Me. Men should come with product reviews. A stream of laughing emojis follows. I roll my eyes and keep swiping. One guy looks normal enough. Works in IT. Smiling, decent face. But as bio says, not sure why I'm here. My sister made me download this. Immediately, no. If you can't even pretend to want me, why are you here? I'm mid-swipe when a voice behind me says, "Market research?" I flinch so hard I almost fling my phone into my salad. Turning around, I see Jeremy, accounting guy, early 30s, glasses. Always looks like he just finished reorganizing his spice rack alphabetically. I laugh it off. Don't sneak up on people. He nods toward my phone. Didn't mean to. Looked like you were running some kind of algorithm. Yeah, I say, stabbing my fork into a tomato. The kind that keeps showing me red flags. He sits down at the table across from me, opening his little Tupperware like he's got all the time in the world. I can smell something homemade, maybe chili? It smells annoyingly good. Any luck? He asks, casual. I groan. Define luck. If you mean guys who vanish after 2 dates, tons. If you mean actual men with emotional maturity, none. He chuckles. Maybe the algorithm's punishing you. Or men just collectively stopped trying, I say. Seriously, you'd think by now someone out there would have a full-time job and a clue. Before he can reply, Tom from sales walks in. Late 20s, gym body, permanently smug. He overhears and laughs. Maybe your standards are just too high, he says, cracking open an energy drink. I shoot him a look. My standards are basic human competence. Tom smirks. Come on, you've got a type. Every girl does. Don't tell me you're not swiping for looks first. Obviously I want attraction, I say, defensive. That's how dating works. Jeremy glances up. Attraction's fine, but apps don't really show the whole picture. You realize women swipe right on, like 10% of guys? Tom laughs. 10? Feels generous, I frown. That's because 90% are disasters. Then Jess, one of the designers, walks in with her smoothie. What's going on? Apparently, Tom says, grinning, women have a higher swipe rejection rate than HR. Jess rolls her eyes and sits next to me. Please, we have to filter. Do you know how many creepy DMs I get in a week? I nod. Exactly. It's self-defense. Jeremy wipes his hands on a napkin. That's fair. But statistically, it also means you're all matching with the same small group of guys. Jess raises an eyebrow. So, he continues calmly. Those guys have endless options, which might explain why you think none of them commit. I let out a little laugh. More of a scoff, really. Okay, Professor, but that's not my fault. Jeremy shrugs. Didn't say it was. Just saying the math doesn't care who's at fault. Tom nods, amused. Damn, Jeremy bringing data to lunch. Love to see it. Yeah, well, I shoot back. Maybe if men put half as much effort into dating as they do spreadsheets, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Jeremy smiles faintly. Maybe. Or maybe you're optimizing for the wrong output. What's that supposed to mean? He gestures with his fork. You're filtering for looks, career, height, surface data. The algorithm sees what you linger on and keeps showing you more of the same. It's a feedback loop. So you're saying I created my own problem? I ask. I'm saying, he says, you might be seeing 10% of men and assuming that's everyone. Jess leans forward, intrigued. Wait, that actually makes sense. I glare. Don't encourage him. Tom laughs. You girls built the monster yourselves. Jess smacks his arm. Oh please. Like guys are saints. Half of you swipe right on anything with a pulse efficiency, Tom says, raising his can. That's strategy. The table breaks into light banter, but I can't help noticing how calm Jeremy stays. No jokes, no sarcasm, just quietly eating and occasionally dropping lines that stick in my head longer than I'd like. I finally say, look, I get it. Data, whatever, but it's not like I'm ignoring great guys. I just haven't met any. Jeremy tilts his head. You sure about that? Pretty sure, I say. He gives a small, knowing smile. Maybe they're just not in your search radius. I laugh defensively and glance back at my phone. Okay, fine. Let's test your theory, swipe left. Too basic. Swipe left, guy with family man in bio. No thanks. Swipe left, holding a baby goat. Why? Jeremy doesn't say anything, but I catch the faintest smile on his face, like he's watching a slow-motion car crash he predicted 10 minutes ago. When I look up again, he's back to his spreadsheets, neat and unbothered. Tom's bragging about weekend plans, Jess is talking about her hinge match, and I'm right where I started. Thumb on autopilot, eyes on the wrong 10%. By the end of the day, I'd decided to delete the apps again. But that night, lying on my couch with takeout and bad reality TV humming in the background, curiosity won. One more scroll, I told myself, just to see. And then, there he was. Ryan, tall, sharp jawline, a real smile, not that forced, trying too hard grin. His profile read, built my business from scratch. Love travel, fitness, and good conversation. Every photo looked curated but natural. Friends, hikes, a clean apartment in the background, which already put him in the top 5%. We matched almost instantly. His first message wasn't a lazy, hey, or a fire emoji. It was, you look like trouble with the calendar. I laughed out loud. Clever, confident, direct. Exactly what I'd been waiting for. We talked for hours that night. Work, ambition, gym routines, favorite cities. He said he liked that I was goal-oriented but grounded. I told him I was impressed he could actually spell. It felt like flirting with someone who spoke my language for once. Charming but self-aware. By midnight he said, let's not waste time. Dinner tomorrow? I stared at the screen for a moment before typing back. Finally, a man with initiative. And just like that, I was back in. That first date felt like winning. He walked in like he owned the place. Calm, confident, a little smug in a way that somehow worked. He complimented my dress without overdoing it, like he'd seen better but appreciated the effort. He ordered my drink without even asking what I wanted, and it was exactly right. Like he'd been on enough dates to guess. He made the waiter laugh, made me laugh, said my job in marketing sounded strategic and impressive. When I told him people usually find me intimidating, he smiled and said, only to men who aren't worth your time. The ones who are. They know how to keep up. It was everything I'd wanted to hear. For once, I wasn't lowering myself or explaining my ambition away. He seemed unfazed by it, like he'd already decided I was worth the effort, like I wasn't something to chase, but to match. By the end of the night, he leaned in during a pause in conversation and said, you want to keep talking? my place is quieter. There was no pressure in his tone, just certainty, like he already knew the answer. Normally, I'd say no. I've given that speech a dozen times. I'm not that kind of girl. Let's take things slow. But this time felt different. He was sharp, successful, mature. He didn't act like sex was the prize. It was just the next chapter in something two adults were writing together. I thought, why not? Maybe this is what it looks like when two people who actually have their lives together connect. We spent the night together, and in the morning I didn't feel cheap. I didn't feel used. I felt proud. I told myself it was grown up, natural, the start of something real. I even texted Kasi later. Finally met someone on my level, and for once, I don't regret not playing hard to get. For the next week, I was glowing. He texted just enough to keep me smiling. We went out again. Cocktails, good food, talk about business ideas and travel plans. He said he liked women who had their own thing going. I remember thinking, exactly. This is what average guys never understand. They see ambition as competition. He sees it as sexy. Then little things started to change. He'd reply slower, sometimes not at all, until the next day. When I asked about his weekend, he'd say, busy, work stuff. His posts were all clean and perfect. Gym photos, skyline views, captions about the grind. I noticed comments from other women, heart emojis, one girl writing "missed this," and felt that drop in my stomach. One Friday night, he cancelled dinner 2 hours before. Deadline at the office. I told myself, fine, he's driven. But later, out with Jess, I saw him. Not on a screen, right there across the bar. He was with another girl. She laughed, touched his arm, and he leaned in close like I'd never existed. I froze. Didn't go over, didn't say a word. Just stood there pretending to scroll my phone while every part of me burned. 2 days later, another friend confirmed what I already knew. Ryan was that guy. The one who keeps a rotation of women, always has someone new lined up. Apparently, everyone knew. Everyone but me. It wasn't heartbreak. It was humiliation. I'd convinced myself he was serious, that he saw me as something long-term, that this was grown-up love. Instead, I'd been another option on a list. And the worst part? I'd told myself the night we met that I'd finally found someone on my level. Turns out, he was just another version of the same story, only better dressed. That Monday, I came into work feeling like a deflated balloon. No makeup, hair tied up, pretending to be busy so no one would ask about my weekend. Inside, I just felt stupid. Ryan hadn't texted once since that night, and I knew what that meant. Another man who talked big about connection and turned out to be running the same tired playbook. I told myself it didn't matter. That I'd been right about him from the start. That it was better to find out early. But somewhere underneath all that fake confidence, something small had cracked. I was walking to grab coffee when I saw Jeremy in the break area with Melissa from design. He was helping her move a file onto a shared drive. Nothing flirty, just easy. They laughed about a typo. He said, "Fixed it," and she patted his arm like it was natural. It wasn't cinematic or charged, just real. And somehow, that made my stomach twist. Jeremy's never been my type. Average height, practical car, same lunch every day. But the way he looked at her, calm and steady, was the opposite of every man I'd chased. Literally, his parents should have named him Average. It hit me. The ones who excite me are the ones who disappear, and the ones who stay steady are the ones I never even notice. That thought stung, because if that was true, what did it say about me? I went back to my desk, telling myself they were just co-workers. But his quiet laugh stuck in my head, too ordinary to stand out, too genuine to ignore. When my group chat asked about Ryan later, I brushed it off. He's just another one of those guys. They sent eye roll emojis and said I deserved better. I agreed out loud, but lying in bed that night, I kept thinking about Jeremy's steady tone and Melissa's easy smile. Part of me envied her, not because of him exactly, but because she looked safe, and I couldn't remember the last time a man made me feel that way. A week later, I decided to be better. No more chasing the same type. No more complaining if I wasn't willing to try something different. So when a guy named Lucas messaged me, regular job, decent smile, seemed kind, I forced myself not to overthink it. He wasn't my usual type. 5'10", soft voice, IT support. But he wrote in full sentences, asked real questions, even remembered I said I liked sushi. I told myself, see? This is what normal looks like. This is effort. We met for coffee on a Saturday afternoon. He was early, stood up when I walked in. Nice shirt, clean sneakers, polite handshake, all the things I claim to want. But something felt off immediately. Not bad, just flat. The way he talked about his job, the quiet enthusiasm when he mentioned his dog, the way he laughed a second too long at my jokes, it was all fine. Just fine. Halfway through, he said, "You know, you seem really grounded." I smiled automatically, but in my head, a voice whispered, "Why does that sound like something you'd say to a therapist, not a woman you want?" When he mentioned owning a condo with a little patio, I should have been impressed. Instead, I found myself thinking, patio? Not a view? He said he was saving for a used hybrid. I nodded, but the ick crept in. Something about how cautious he was, how ordinary. I kept trying to silence it. He's stable. He's nice. He's here. Isn't that what I've been asking for? But by the time the check came, I knew. There was no spark, no pull, nothing to make me want to see him again. When he texted later, had a really nice time, would love to do it again, I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed, "You're great, but I didn't feel a connection." He replied, "No worries at all. Take care." Polite, mature, respectful, and somehow that made me feel worse, because he'd done everything right. And still, I felt nothing. That night, I vented to Cassie. We sat on my couch, wine glasses half full, the usual post-date autopsy. She said, "At least you gave it a shot." I shrugged. "Yeah, but I don't want to force chemistry." "That's not fair, to him or me." Cassie nodded slowly. "He sounded nice though." "He was," I said. "Nice, polite, stable, the kind of guy moms love." She smiled. "So, what's the problem?" I stared at my glass. "I don't know. He was just boring. No spark." Everything felt like small talk with a LinkedIn profile. Cassie laughed. "You really can't do average, huh?" "I tried," I said. "I really did. But I can't fake attraction. I can't pretend that a 5'10" IT guy who drives a used hybrid makes my heart race." We sat there in silence for a minute, then I said it before I could stop myself. Maybe Jeremy was right. Most men really are invisible, and maybe that's fine. Maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Cassie raised an eyebrow. "Invisible?" "Yeah," I said. "The nice ones, the normal ones. You only notice them when someone points them out, and by then, it's already too late. They don't excite you. They just exist." She looked at me, half pity, half disbelief. I added, "And honestly, I don't care. If being with an average guy means forcing myself to feel something that's not there, I'd rather be alone." Cassie sighed. "You sound tired." "I am," I said, "but not tired enough to settle." After she left, I cleaned up, sat on the couch, and opened Tinder again. Not because I was hopeful, just because it felt familiar. Profiles slid past one after another. Swipe left. Too plain. Swipe left. Weird smile. Swipe left. Too short. Swipe left. No spark. It wasn't that 80% of men were invisible, it was that I'd trained myself not to see them, and even now that I understood it, I didn't care enough to stop. I set the phone down, looked out the window, and told myself maybe next week I'd try again. But even as I said it, my thumb was already reaching for the app.